I get asked all the time, Travis, should I bag my C10? And the answer is yes. Do it. Do it. Just do it. You might be thinking, Travis, I don't know how to do it. I don't know. I don't have the tools. I don't have the parts. I don't have everything that I need. Do it. Do it. You can do it. I've created an air ride guide that's going to show you step by step how to bag your C10. Watch this video, go to the website, simpleC10.co, and let's bag your truck. Now is the perfect time to start on a build. I've said this before, I love starting on a build during the fall. When everybody else is wrapped up cozy at home, I'm in the garage, grinding it out, getting ready for next show season. That way I don't have to be that guy at the show that as you're walking up and your buddy's like, hey man, where's your truck at? And you're like, oh man, well it's still at the house on the jack stands and the blah blah blah. I'll have it ready for next year. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Get it ready right now. Watch this video. I'm going to explain everything that you need to know. Buy the parts. Call me up. Let's get everything that you need. Let's get this thing on the ground. That way next show season, you can be propped up under your tent, you know, whatever, getting you a little nice little drink going on, a little cigar, I don't know, whatever your thing is. And be like, built that one myself. And be like, what? Mine's at home on the Jackson. Oh, you can do it. Just go watch Travis's videos. Simple C10, man. He'll show you how to do it. There you go. That's what you want to do. You want to be that guy under the tent with your shades on, checking out your truck with your legs propped up with the fan blowing on you, not the jack stand guy sitting there. Oh, I should have just done it. Should have just done it. I should have just finished my truck. Don't be that guy. Seriously though, let's get your truck. Let's get it on the ground. Looking like Lucky right here, looking good. All right, I hope that got you motivated, but now it's time to jump into the actual air ride guide. So this is a 10-step guide on how to bag your C10. I'm gonna go over step by step how to do it, link all the videos. Everything is already available on my website, simpleC10.co. Just click air ride guide. You're gonna see it, you just scroll down every step. It's got a shopping list, all that stuff. But I'm going to explain all that's on the website right here today. The guide that I'm going to explain today is for 1963 to 1972 frames. Those are two different body styles, but they have the exact same frame. So you bag them the same way. The only difference is going to be your inner fender part. When I get to that, I'll explain a little bit more. But on square bodies, if you've got a square body, then all the front end parts are going to be the same. So whether you've got a first gen, second gen, square body, whatever you got, part of this video is going to help you out. Even if you don't have a C10, if you've got another truck or a car and you're just trying to figure out what type of components work to bag these, I'm going to go over air ride management, bag placement, and all that stuff in the video. So stay tuned. Even if you're not a C10 guy, you just want to learn about air ride, this is going to be a great video for you. I mentioned in the last video, I went full time with Simple C10. I'm so excited. I've got to help so many more people put out more videos. Thank you so much for your support. But one of my main sources of income is selling parts through the website. So that's where you guys can support me. If you're going to buy those parts anyway, go on to my website, simpleC10.co. It's right here. Just go to the website. I've got all the parts that I'm going to talk about today. You don't have to hop around to a million different websites and pay shipping here and do that and contact that person. I can be your one-stop shop for all your C10 parts. And the one thing that you get by purchasing parts from me is you get to reach out to me. When you buy parts and you have issues or you have questions, I'll FaceTime you, I'll call you, I'll text you, whatever it takes to make sure your truck gets done. I know you can't get that with the big companies. You call 1-800 number, you get a computer, you get this, you get that. All the people that I partner with, I know personally, I'm friends with. So it's a great community to support me and all the different companies that we partner with. So thank you guys again. Check out the website. Let's hop in. All right, let's jump into the 63 to 72 air ride guide. So if you go on the website, the first thing that you're going to see on the air ride guide is a shopping list. And the reason I put this at the top is to just give you a quick breakdown of all the different parts that you're going to need to bag your truck. One of the things I wanted to point out about the shopping list is I've put everything in the order that I would purchase it. So if you're on a budget, all you have to do is go one by one and purchase one item, then install it, purchase the next item, install it, or do like I did on my first build is I would, while I'm saving up money to buy the part, I would go ahead and tear everything apart, clean up the parts, order it, have it on its way. So when it actually arrives at my house, I've already got the frame prepped, it's painted, it's coated, it's ready to install the new parts onto there. So that's one good thing about the shopping list that you can do is use it for a budget and use it for the structure that you want to build your truck. Step 1, planning your build and purchasing your air ride kit. Planning your build is one of the most important parts whenever you're bagging a truck. What you'll want to do is write out step by step everything that you want to do on your truck. You can see right here on the cabinet, that is Lucky's plan. And in Lucky's video, the first video I ever made of this truck, you saw me writing out step by step everything that I wanted to do on that truck. That way when it came time to buy parts or what am I going to do next, or maybe I'm waiting to save up money, what's next on the list that I can help plan for to disassemble to get it ready for whatever the next step is. So creating a plan on the front end is so important. And that's one of the main reasons for the air ride guide. It's not only going to tell you all the stuff that you need, but it's going to tell you how to plan your build. So I've got a couple videos in addition to this video that you can watch that'll help you plan your build. So you can go watch the Air Ride 101 video or the Bagging on a Budget video. Those are two great videos that I've made in the past. Actually, it's pretty funny. 3 years ago, November the 21st, I was sitting right here in this exact same seat explaining the Bagging on a Budget video. So I broke down step by step kind of how I'm doing now, but without all the knowledge that I have now. So it's still a very good video, and Air Ride 101 is going to explain all the differences of components, whether you want a drop member or a cup lowers and all that stuff and what it means. So after you watch this, go back and watch Air Ride 101, Bagging on a Budget. Those are both great videos that'll help you plan your build. After you've planned your build, the first thing that I encourage you to do is go ahead and buy your air ride kit. I have a kit on the website called the Simple C10 Air Ride Kit, and it's going to come with everything you need for these trucks. It's going to come with the 4 bags, 2 compressors, a 5-gallon tank, and the Airlift 3P Air Ride Management System. And this is what I run on all my trucks. I love it. It is a great kit. I'm on to build 10, and I've used all of the Simple C10 Air Ride kits on my build. So I have experience with them. I've got many videos on how to install them and all that. So if you're watching the videos and you're trying to bag the truck off of these videos, that is the kit for you. You can get that kit on simpleC10.co, but as you're on the website, you'll check it out. I have a budget kit and a 2-tank kit if you have the side tank mounts from VeloWorks. That's on the website too. So I have a lot of different options, but the one that I recommend is the Simple C10 Air Ride Kit that I've used on all the builds. If you're wanting to bag your truck and you have questions about, should I use this kit, or what if I don't want to go with the Simple C10 kit, is there other kits, then just reach out to me. I'll recommend the best kit for you. I just want to make sure you get what you need. I also have kits, the Airlift 3H for the height sensors. Whatever you need, just let me know and I can put together a personalized air ride kit just for you. The air ride kit's going to be one of the most expensive things when it comes to bagging your truck, but it's also the most important thing. So don't let this be the thing that you try to save a bunch of money on. The Airlift 3P or the 3H is going to be the brains to the whole air ride system. So you want to invest in something that is going to protect your truck, but also protect you. That's why I always get a good air management system, is because that's what's controlling my air ride while I'm driving down the road with my family. So you can do a manual setup with the old school gauges and all that, but it never seems to work as well as having a really good air management system. That's why I recommend the Simple C10 Air Ride Kit. Step 2, installing your upper bag bracket and cupping your lower control arms. On my builds, I like to start with the front suspension first. So what I'll do is I'll take the drum brakes off of there, I'll take the shocks out, the upper and lower control arms, I'll take all that off, I'll clean it up, I'll paint the frame with some of the Sweet Patina blackout paint, and once all the frame is looking really good, then I will install the VeloWorks front do-it-yourself slam kit. With the front slam kit, it's going to come with the upper bag bracket. So you're going to take that bracket, you're going to mount the bag to it and mount it to the upper spring pocket. And once you get that installed in there, then you can cup your lowers. And what I mean by that is you install a round cup to your lower control arm. That way the airbag can mount directly to the control arm. And what that does is it allows you to have a little bit more drop. Usually a bag comes with a bottom bag bracket that just sits on it, and it sits down in the control arm. So when the control arms do like this, when you lower your truck, then it's limited because the bag is limited. When you cup your lower, it removes that lower cup and sets the bag directly in the control arm, and it will allow the control arm to go up further. The further the control arm goes up, the lower your truck is going to go. So all you have to do is cut out the cup for the lower control arm, weld it in, mount your bag in there, and you're good to go. It's a very easy process. I've got a lot of videos on how to do that. I've done it 3 times now on trucks, but I also have an option for those that might not have a fabricator in town that can do this or might not feel comfortable doing it themselves. I was there on my first couple builds. I couldn't weld. I didn't even have a welder. One of the options that I have available for you, if you just want to have a bolt-on option, is the chopping block control arms. So having a set of control arms on your truck acts the same way as cupping your lowers, because it's going to allow the control arm to go up further, and you'll mount your bag directly to those control arms. So I have the chopping block control arms available on the website. They come powder coated. They come with the ball joints that you need already installed. All you do is put your spindle on there and put your brakes back on there, and you're ready to go. Since we're talking about the control arms, I'll go ahead and explain again here. On the chopping block arms, they all come forward an inch, which helps center your wheel and the wheel well in the front, and it gives you firewall clearance. But if you're wanting to run the narrowed arms, which is an inch narrow on both sides, then you're going to need 4.5 inch back spacing or less. So a lot of the factory wheels are 4.5. If you get a 5 or 5.5 or a 6 like transports are back spacing, then you need to get the factory geometry arm. I have both of those options available on the website. And if you're not sure, reach out to me. It explains it on the website, all the back spacing, so you can make sure you get the right arms. But they work fine, and the one good thing about chopping block is it allows you to use your drop shock without the upper relocation bracket. So you can just get a 3-inch drop shock that I have available and just install it, and you are good to go. So it's a really quick option for the front. If you check out the Air Ride Guide online, you're going to see the links to multiple videos for cupping your control arms, for installing the front do-it-yourself slam kit, and also the chopping block arm. So go check out those videos if you want more information on how to do that. Step 3, disc brakes, drop spindles, drop shocks. The next step for you is purchasing your disc brake conversion kit. And this is going to come with a 2.5 inch drop spindle. This is a must to get your truck down to this low. Without drop spindles, you're just not going to make it. And to have drop spindles, you have to have disc brakes. These trucks come with drum brakes, so you need the whole conversion. I have one on the website, a disc brake conversion kit with a 2.5 inch drop spindle. I've got a budget version, and I also have the new POL blackout version that looks really cool, and I want to install that on one of my future builds. This kit comes with new disc brakes, 2.5 inch drop spindles, and I've used this kit multiple times, and it's a quick and easy install. But installing disc brakes on these trucks is not very difficult at all. I have multiple videos on how to do that. You're really just taking your old stuff off, installing some ball joints on there, which they're just bolt in or press in on the bottom. and then you're really just bolting everything in. The spindle is going to bolt in, the disc brake bolts to the spindle. You've got to pack a couple bearings. It's very straightforward. The first time I ever did it, it was kind of intimidating. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. It is very easy. Just follow the video and watch it. Get the drop spindles and disc brakes on there. It's not only going to be great for your suspension, but you're going to have way better braking as well. After you get the disc brakes and the drop spindles installed, the last step is installing the 3-inch drop shocks on the front. You have to run a 3-inch drop shock. That way the control arms can compress all the way. If there's any other drop shock that you use besides the ones that are listed on the website, they may not work. So if you want to make sure you get the right thing, you can purchase those directly from me when you get your air ride kit or your disc brake conversion to make sure that you have everything that you need to get the front of this truck on the ground. After we install all the front components, there's a few other things that we have to do to get the truck to lay all the way out. Step 4, inner fender fabrication. If you tried to lay your truck all the way out on your factory inner fenders, then the tire is going to hit the inner fender. This is for 63 to 66 or 67 to 72. They both have inner fender problems, and that is just basically across the board with any vehicle when you're bagging them. You're going to run into inner fender rubbing. So the way that we fix that issue on the 60 to 66s is we cut out the factory inner fender. And you're probably thinking, whoa now, I don't want to cut anything. Well, you're going to have to, but you don't have to do it blind. I've come up with something called the Simple Guide, and it is a inner fender template that you lay on your inner fender, you trace the line, and then you cut it out. That way you can get a nice cut where your tires are going to tuck up into your inner fender. Whenever you cut out your factory inner fenders, you're going to have to remove the part of the hood hinge that holds the factory spring. Whenever you remove that hood spring, then what's holding up the hood? It's a good question. Nothing really, unless you have a hood prop. And that's what I did on the first couple of builds until now. There's a product called Simple Shocks that we can bolt on to our factory hood hinges and into the factory fenders, and it's going to hold up your hood, and it looks really good. Check this out. These install so easy. I've got a step-by-step video on how to install Simple Shocks, but if you get the Simple Guide with the Simple Shocks and then pair that with the GMSS inner fender covers like I'm showing you here, that's on Lucky, these things look awesome. So you can hide the hole with the inner fender covers, you can hold up your hood with the Simple Shocks, and then you can cut out that hole with the Simple Guide. So I've taken all the guesswork out of it, and I'm offering products that not only make it functional, but with GMSS inner fender covers, it's going to make it look awesome as well. The Simple Shock with the inner fender cover is one option, unless you're wanting to go with a full inner fender like this. The GMSS inner fender tub, like I have on Francis, gives you more clearance on the inside if you're running narrowed arms or a bigger wheel and tire, or maybe you have a drop member and you're trying to get more steering clearance. The inner fender tubs are the way to go. But whenever you go with the inner fender tub, you're gonna have to change your hood hinges. You can no longer run your factory hinges. So when you do that, you've got to use a Switch Suspensions cowl-mounted hood hinge. And I have these available on the website. I have a video on exactly how to install them. It's not that big of a deal. You cut some holes and you weld a bracket to your hood and then do some adjustment and you're good to go. But if you're going with the full tub, you have to go with a cowl-mounted hood hinge. We're 4 steps in and we've got the whole front of this truck bagged, everything looking good, dropped down. That brings us to step 5, trailing arm crossmember. When you're bagging your C10, the drive shaft angle is going to change on the truck. So whenever you lower it down, the drive shaft is going to go up and it's actually going to come in contact with the trailing arm crossmember. The hoop in the middle of the trailing arm crossmember from the factory is not large enough for that much of a drop. So there's a couple different ways to fix that. You could take the top of the trailing arm crossmember and cut it out and weld in a larger hoop up top to allow the drive shaft to move. That's one budget-friendly way to do it. But what I recommend is what I have on the website. It's a great product from TenWorks. It's their trailing arm crossmember. And the TenWorks trailing arm crossmember is awesome. That's the only way that I know how to explain it. I love it. It's not only going to give you the drive shaft clearance that you need, but it's going to give you the exhaust cutouts, and also it's going to give you adjustment through their anti-squat brackets that it allows you to change the pinion angle at the front of the trailing arm. You can see me installing it here. It's very easy. I love the 3-piece design that gives you the 2 C pieces for the side of the frame that you can bolt those in there loosely, and then mount in the larger middle section. Whenever you get the 1-piece style and you try to work that into the frame, it is really hard to get it in there perfectly. But with the 2 side pieces, then the middle piece, it allows you to get it in there a lot easier than it would doing it by yourself with a 1-piece. So I recommend the TenWorks trailing arm crossmember. It looks great. It works well, and it gives you multiple options further than just getting drive shaft clearance. What I like about this design too is the topless design. So there's not even a top for the drive shaft to hit. They've made it beefier around the bottom and the sides, so it doesn't even need the top. With the topless design, it doesn't matter the diameter of your drive shaft or how much clearance you need. It's going to work either way. Even if you laid the truck all the way out, it still gives you enough clearance. So if you're doing it this way at first and being about this much off the ground, and then you decide, you know what, I want to drop member, I want to put a 4-link on the back, this trailing arm cross member is going to allow you to upgrade the suspension in the future. So it's a no-brainer for me. I'll always install those in the truck. I just love them, the design, the look of them, everything. Since we're talking trailing arm crossmember, let's talk about the TenWorks trailing arms. So this is one upgrade. It's not necessary for a build. You can use your factory, but the TenWorks trailing arms are a great upgrade to really just finish off the back half of your truck. With the tubular design, the built-in drop on the trailing arms, and then the adjustability on the front, gives you a lot more options that a factory trailing arm doesn't. So if you're welding in the notch, maybe you want to extend your trailing arms out just a little bit so you don't have to shorten your drive shaft or something like that. The TenWorks trailing arms allows you to do that, and they just look cool. It's a great upgrade. It beefs up the rear of your suspension. So that's one thing that I would encourage everybody to get as well. With the TenWorks trailing arm and the cross member and everything, when you look under the truck and you see that in combination, it really starts to look like a back half of a truck. Instead of a factory suspension, it really looks custom. Step 6, step notch and rear blocks. Now the fun starts. We're going to hop on the rear of the truck. So the first step that you're going to need to do is order the VeloWorks rear do-it-yourself slam kit. It's going to come with the 4.5-inch block and the longer U-bolts that you're going to need. And you're going to order the VeloWorks step notch as well. I have both of those items available on the website. So they're going to come with everything that you need to get the back ready for airbags. The rear slam kit is going to come with the 4.5-inch block, and it may need cut down depending on your wheel size. If you've got 22s, don't worry about it. Run the full 4.5-inch block. If you're running 20s, 3.5 inches is what you need to cut it down to. If you're running 18s or anything smaller than that, it's probably better that you cut it down to 2 inches. You don't want the block to be too big for your wheels, or you're going to run into what's called scrub issues. So a scrub issue is whenever the U-bolt sticks below where the rim would be. So if you had a flat, then the U-bolt is dragging the ground. On 22s, the full block is smaller than the wheel, so if you had a flat, you would not grind anything. But just say you're running 16s. You know, you've got some 16s on there, and with the tire on it and everything, is plenty enough space. You're this far off the ground, but if you had a flat, then all that suspension is below the rim of the wheel, which would cause an issue. So be careful with that. You don't want to run into scrub issues. I can make sure that you don't have scrub issues if you just send me your wheel size. I can also show you how to measure and cut your block to the right height. But even with the block cut, depending on your wheel size, you'll still be able to get as low as you would on 22s. The next part is the VeloWorks step notch. This step notch is what's going to allow the rear end to tuck up. It's the most important part of the rear setup to be able to lay these trucks out. So the way that this step notch is set up is you can weld the sides and the top piece on. That will make it structurally sound, and then cut out the middle section and then weld in the bottom piece, and then it is all a solid notch in there. So I've got a couple videos on how to do the VeloWorks step notch. The first time I did it, it kind of freaked me out a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But the more that I've done it, the more comfortable and the easier that it's got. So just watch the video a few times and practice on your welding if this is your first time, or get a friend to come over to help you out. But you can go back and watch the Francis episode 8 video, and that's going to show you step by step how to install that step notch on your truck. But don't let this part freak you out. Yes, this is the most stressful part of the whole thing, I would say, because this is when you're starting to cut your frame. You haven't really had to cut anything yet besides cupping your lowers. But take your time, follow the video, make sure you get a good weld on the notch, clean it up, and let's get the back of your truck bagged. Step 7, installing the rear bags. To achieve the maximum drop on the back of these trucks using your factory trailing arm, we need to mount the bag directly to the bottom of the frame. A lot of times the bolt-in setups has a bracket for the top of the bag that allows you to run the air line, but what that top bracket does is it limits your drop in the back. So we need to get rid of the top bracket and mount that bag directly to the frame. This is one of the trickiest things to do on the back to get everything lined up. I remember the first couple times that I did this, I was trying to make a template for the top and draw it and kind of mount it to the top, and I never got it perfect. I always had to drill the holes a couple times, and I wasn't really happy with it. So whenever I got ready to do Lucky, I decided to design a template, the rear bag template, that's going to allow you to mark it on the frame and know exactly where to drill. It tapes to the bottom of your frame, and then you know where to drill for your air hole, and then also where to mount the bag on there. It takes all the guesswork out of it. That's the main goal with all these templates that I make, is to take all the guesswork out of drilling into your frame and where to mount stuff. So all you're going to do is mount the bag onto the trailing arm, jack up the truck, and push the bag all the way up to the top of the frame. Make a mark, and then put your rear bag template on there, drill your holes, bolt your bag in, and you're done on the back. So the first couple times I ever did this, it took me a couple hours to install the rear bags. With the rear bag template, I did both sides in about 30 minutes. So it saves you a lot of time. You don't have to drill twice and guess at it. But the rear bag template's available on the website. It's not a lot of money to take the guesswork out of the rear bags. Step 8, Watts Link. One of the upgrades that I absolutely recommend for the back of your truck is a Watts Link. And what a Watts Link is going to do, whenever we're bagging the back of these trucks, if you use your factory panhard bar, then your rear end is going to shift left to right as the bags inflate and deflate. As you're at different ride heights, your rear end is going to move back and forth because of the panhard bar setup. Now you can customize and get a shorter panhard bar and use it similar to a factory setup, and it works. I did it on no association and it worked okay, but ever since I started installing Watts links on the back of these trucks, it goes flawlessly in the back. Knowing that my rear end is centered at all ride heights is just an extra sense of security that my truck is running well. So as you can see on the video here, all you're doing is welding in a couple brackets to the rear end, a couple to the notch, and adjusting your bars. It looks kind of complicated. It looks cool on the back of the trucks. You may be thinking, I don't know if I can do this. It looks a little bit complicated, calibrating everything and all that. It's really not. Just follow the Watts Link installation video, weld in the couple of brackets, tack everything in, test it, and then just weld it all the way in. We are coming up with a bolt-in design where it bolts into your rear end, a 10 or a 12 bolt. That'll be coming soon. I've reached out to Alex V. We're working on a bolt-in setup because welding to the rear end is probably the most stressful part of that, even though it's just a couple tabs. On the videos, people was like, man, you're going to warp this and do that. And I've never warped a rear end. I've never had any issues, but a bolt-in setup would keep you from having to weld anything on the rear end. So be on the lookout for that. I have the Watts links available on the website. You can check those out. I've got them available for 60 to 62, 63 to 72, square bodies, OBSs, all the way to newer year models. So whatever you need, we can custom make those if you just want to reach out and let us know what you're installing it on. Now that we have the bags on the back, the slam kit, the notch, the Watts link, it's almost wrapped up. All we have to do is relocate our factory shocks. So there's a couple different ways to do that. You can use your factory shock brackets and actually take those and swap them on the rear of the trailing arm and then mount the shocks on the side of the notch like I did on the new Association build. Or you can do what I did on Lucky, the rear shock relocation kit from Tinworks. It relocates the shocks to the outside of the trailing arm, and then you use their upper bracket that's normally used on the frame. You just weld or bolt that in to the side of your notch, and it works out perfect. With the Tinworks shock relocation kit, I recommend these rough country shocks. I have those available on the website. Those are the longest travel distance that you can have that has the right compressed distance. So when you're buying shocks for the rear, you want the longest travel you can get, but you want them to compress enough to be able to mount them on the shock relocation. So these rough country shocks allowed me to have 11 inches of lift and still have enough compression to fit those on the side of my frame. So you can buy those on the website with the shock relocators, and that's going to give you shocks on the back of your truck. Once we get the shocks on the back is wrapped up. So we got the front done, the back is wrapped up, and there's one step left. Step 10, air management. If you're still tuning in, thank you so much. This is the last step to finish up on the air ride on this truck. So we've already used part of the simple C10 air ride kit, the airbags, the fittings, and some of that stuff to get that all installed on the truck. So now it's time to plumb the whole thing. So we need to run the electrical up to the battery into the compressors and then run our 5 air lines. 4 of those air lines are going to go to each bag, and then one of the air lines will go from the tank to the Airlift 3P. Hooking up the air ride management is actually pretty simple. They give you a great instruction manual on how to hook everything up. The hardest part of the whole thing is finding out where you want to put your tanks and your compressors. You can mount the tanks under the raised bed floor like I've done on a few of my trucks, or you can get the VelaWorks side tank mount that I have on the website that allows you to use 2 3-gallon tanks and mount your compressors onto that. That only works for fleet sides. Once you find your tank and compressor placement, then you can start to run your air lines and your electrical lines to the Airlift 3P manifold and to the tanks and the compressors. And I've got a couple videos to show you exactly how to do that, and a couple tips and tricks in those videos to make sure you make it easy on yourself of how to hook it up. The hardest part is deciding how you want to run your wires and air line to make it look clean. I use some 5/8 electrical clamps to keep things organized along the frame, and you can use random holes in your frame to bolt those to, or you can just drill holes wherever you need. In addition to the Airlift 3P air management video, you can also watch the airline organization video that I explain how I organized all my airline. Once you get the power and ground hooked up and your airlines ran, it's time to test your system. So once you turn it on, you're just going to calibrate the Airlift 3P. It'll ask you some questions on the little remote, and then you'll answer those. The truck will begin to move, it'll calibrate, and you're all done with your air management system. After that, you can play with your switches, start recording some videos, and share them with me, saying, Travis, I did it. This is awesome. This is so cool. And then we get to step back and look at it and ooh and ah and celebrate another bag C10 for the win.